Alright, so as we jump into the Elder Mist Trials, just want to say that my audio is still a bit funny in this one, so apologies for that. It's because I keep forgetting to mute my mic, but let's go ahead and explore the Elder Mist Trials. This initial bit of the trials, it is kind of taking in the scenery and exploring a little bit. There's a chest up here that we missed as well, just watching this back, which kind of a pain. After walking around for a bit, we finally get to this section where we can test out the magic without magic kind of mechanic in the game again on these enemies. So we end up hitting the first enemy. They do a little bit of damage, but we charge Valir and use an attack to take out one of them. And this section ends up kind of just being a repeat of that, hitting them once, getting the charge attack, using it to take them out. And Valir actually drops kind of low, so we do heal her halfway through the fight with Gal, which is pretty nice, but pretty simple fight, just learning the mechanics of the magic without magic. Pretty easy stuff. We go ahead and continue on our adventure. We end up pulling this lever, which then creates some bridges on the path we just took, which I think opens up a new path. So we can go back around and actually collect this chest this time, which contains, a shiny pearl. Awesome. We end up managing to loop back around, and we touch this kind of stone-looking thing, which is teleports us back to the beginning and removes this kind of pillar. I failed to mention in the beginning that it seems like there's 3 different paths you can take, and we went to the right first, so that path seems to be done, and we can continue with the other 2 paths. So heading into the second section here, I noticed the 2 pillars, the orange and the blue, but this kind of seems to be like a tower focused trial, I guess, and it seems like there's these questions that we need to answer here. Which is definitely attacking, right? Regenerates MP, I guess. Nice. And that seems to open up a new path for us. So we managed to progress a little bit further across the tower and get to the next question, which is, what is the name of the school you went to? I'm pretty sure it's Zenith Academy. Yeah, I was a little bit unsure of that answer, to be honest, but we get the right answer and we continue. We end up stumbling upon this chest, which is pretty cool, and find a new recipe that we can cook with, which is awesome. Head over to the third question, I guess. One very important sorcerer's rare duty to destroy dwellers. Who becomes vulnerable during a witch? I don't know. What? I guess Eclipse? Okay, it's Eclipse. Nice. One thing to notice here is that the big piece in the middle just disappears and I guess ends up here where the second trial was. And I noticed the same thing happened with the pillar in the first trial, so it seems to be forming some sort of shape. But let's head over to the third trial now. Alright, so let's go and explore. And we end up finding this chest straight away, which is awesome, and equipping the basic armor onto Zale, which is pretty nice because Gale couldn't equip it. Then we got some basic enemies to deal with. Same stuff we've kind of seen before, hit them, charge up, hit them again. And we find this lever which moves this platform over here, which allows us to continue. Got more enemies to deal with. One thing I did notice is that you can press a button to get a preemptive strike, and you can see we already got some charge in the beginning, so we need to make use of that if we can. Alright, so after collecting our spoils from the fight, we end up putting this ladder down. I get a little bit confused here because there's nowhere to actually go. So walking around for a little bit until we figured out that we had to use the lever to move the platform back up. And now that we have the ladder, we can actually use the platform to get over to the other side, which is awesome. We got a couple more enemies, which we'll skip again. But taking down these enemies actually gives us the last orb thingy that we need, I guess, and we're able to activate that. So we end up completing all 3 of the Elder Mist trials, which is awesome, and we've got all 3 parts here in front of us. This little orb ball appears, and we go ahead and touch it, and Valir checks with us to see if we're ready. Ready for what? Okay, guess we're not ready. Alright, we're ready now. Okay, so the Elder Mist actually appears, tells us that spells are ready, and okay, he transforms into an insane boss. Oh, this is fun. So we're starting out with the classic here. The idea is to do as much damage as possible early, I think. So hit him with the Moonrang, which does a little bit of damage, but it's kind of awkward with how we're hitting it. So we end up not getting that much damage, but he does his AoE attack, which hurts a lot, and I hope he doesn't do that every turn. We then decide to focus the arm on the right. It has like a significant amount of HP, and he's also just kind of charging a skill at the moment with 3 Luna kind of emblems. So if we can go ahead and take that out with Valir, that would be huge. So we do just that. We end up giving her a little bit of MP. We charge her up as well, one of the mana things we got, the magic without magic, and hit an awesome Moonrang. Pretty nice, but the fight ends up with us hitting him hitting us, you know, bit by bit. We end up using Zael a lot for healing in the fight, but a little bit back and forth for that for the meantime. His arm is currently disabled, which is awesome. And then it recharges, so we end up working on the arm again, basically just making sure we can take it down as quick as possible. Quick hit from Zael, heal up Zael as well with Garl, quick combo from Zael and Valir, and then Garl to actually finish off the arm, which is awesome. And it means we take a lot less damage. After a few blows back and forth, we end up, he ends up charging again, sorry, so we end up hitting him with the Moonrang again, a charged up version this time, which is pretty good. And then we resort back to our normal strategy, basic attacks, healing up with Zael, using these combos like this when possible to restore mana and do a bunch of damage, and yeah, pretty good. We decided to mix it up and actually use the Sunball attack with some charged up power, but ends up actually killing him, which is awesome, and we get a very easy kill onto the boss with this strategy. Pretty good stuff. The Elder Mist ends up coming back and just congratulates with us, tells us that we have a bright future and all that good stuff, and he says to meet him by the lake again as soon as we're ready, so let's go ahead and do that. So upon meeting him at the lake again, he tells us good morning, but like Garl says, it's the middle of the night, which is strange. He then also tells us about this celestial rune where we can actually change the time of day, which is insane. So let's go ahead and try that out. Super cool. So with that, he lets us know that our journey is ready and gives us a location for us to meet him, which gives us a little test of our powers, I guess. So let's go ahead and do that, shall we? Going super slow here, just kind of testing it bit by bit and finding it quite cool that it changes, but we've got to change it back to night. Once it's night, actually gives us a nice little bridge, and looks like we have to do the same here, I guess. Nice, okay, cool. Pretty simple enough. We end up on the world map. We then walk over to the Evermist's island landing and go and have a chat. He actually tells us we have prophecies. For Zael, it's stare at the night inside of you. For Valir, it's create paths on water. And for Garl, you must be mindful of your limitations during this journey. They have a nice little interaction, but actually for Garl, it's to soothe a long tormented soul. Interesting. But he tells us we have to find a crew, make friends with them, and they'll help us get to Rough Island for our eclipse. And off we go. Very interesting transportation method. So it cuts to this guy again, the Archivist, who's like the narrator, and he lets us know that we're going to come across 2 very powerful wizards. So we've got to keep an eye out for that. So we end up landing. Garl thinks it's awesome. Valir agrees, kind of in a sense, and they agree to find a boat. So let's go ahead and do that. It's also a very nice look at the new kind of environment that we're in, a different environment to the beginning, which is kind of cool. I like how the game set itself so far, and this is our first true adventure. Running into these 2 enemies actually is our first adventure. Start the fight, and this guy's already channeling, so we try and break that as soon as possible. A couple of hits into the Sunball, which is awesome, and then finish this guy off with Valir. Very simple fight. Continuing on, we'll go ahead and make sure we collect some plants for resources for cooking, and yeah, kind of just anything that's around that will help us. And we stumble across this rainbow conch, which the description only says might interest the collector, so we have to see what that does. But we kind of get to the destination we need, where we can put this little thing in, and it releases this bridge, which is cool. It's actually the end of this section, but we see this interesting character that has a portal. Okay, interesting. Not sure who they are, but we end up on the world map. And yeah, let's continue to go down to find a boat. The audio sucks again, but this is the last one for sure. While I'm just fixing things, I do apologize. But we come across this new enemy, which is called the Ant Bruiser. Don't have that much HP. So let's see how we do here. Okay, but they also don't take that much damage, it seems. Maybe spells would work, and I think we go with the Moonerang here and try that out. One Moonerang finishes them off. Pretty easy fight, but we have to remember to use spells against them, I guess. Stumbling across another new enemy here. Let's see what they have in store for us. One hit from Valir into a Sunball attack, which does some pretty decent damage. They don't strike back. Okay, pretty basic attacks. Doesn't really do too much damage as long as we block it. Couple more basic attacks into a Valir charged basic attack. Takes them out pretty easily. One thing to mention here, we came across this room, which you can see on the left side of the screen now. We interacted with it, but it said it had something to do with time. Either way, as we progress, we get some more enemies, so I guess we're just getting accustomed to them so far. Deciding not to mess around, hit them with a Moonerang. That ends up leaving them all pretty low. We take out one of the ants with a normal attack, but this guy is charging in the middle, which is a little bit scary. But one hit from Gal into a hit from Zell takes out that ant, but we've let this guy charge now. He ends up throwing 3 bombs at us, and that hurts a lot, so we've got to look out for that. But we finish him off quite easily with a couple of attacks and heal up after battle. We then discover this weird blue pillar thing, which looks like we can use a key item on that we don't have. But then we run into some more enemies, so we're kind of in the gauntlet here. We got a lot of enemies back to back. We kick it off with one auto from Gale and one from Zale, just to get some mana back because our mana is low. But this guy is allowed to get his skill off, which doesn't do too much, and that's block. This next turn, 2 of them are charging, so we need Gale to cancel that quickly. Moonerang time.
Nice. Ooh, you're really good at those ones.
So my partner and I were having a conversation. You heard us say nice halfway through. I had to cut out a lot of it because we were actually speaking and my mic was still on, unfortunately. But we ended up finishing that garth pretty easily, and we continue to explore into this cave now. End up finding this one ant on his own. Should be a quick, easy kill until these two just appear out of nowhere. We're a little bit unprepared for this fight with low mana, so a couple of basic attacks, one from Valir and Zale, helps us get a little bit of mana back. We then follow up with a heal onto Valir, which is pretty good, but mana's still looking kind of rough. In the next round, we actually get a couple more hits off, but Gale takes a big hit here from the ant, leaving her at 4 HP, followed up by a hit from this guy, and we have our first KO. It's looking a bit rough, guys. So straight away, I'm immediately panicked. I'm like, we need to go into a Moonerang, we need to do some damage, we need to get them off the map as soon as possible. So our Moonerang ends up killing the ant, which is huge. These guys dish out a few more attacks and leave Zale really low now, so now I'm super worried. I think we go for the heal here onto Zale, and that star around Gale's head, by the way, indicates that he's going to respawn next turn, and he does, which is awesome, so we can relax a little bit. I noticed the enemy on the left has 2 turns left, so we go ahead and charge up with Zale for a big attack, 34 damage, and then we finish him off quite nicely with Gar, so he doesn't attack in his turn. And we end the battle quite nicely with the last hit from Zale, but looking kind of rough. Managed to get some MP together, but it's put us in a bad situation. We do get a level up, which is awesome, which we'll skip through quite quickly. Big bit of HP to Zale, HP to Valir, and then a little bit of physical defense for Gal. Considering that last fight, I think we're going to need it. So we end up exiting the cave here and walking around to a little cliffside which we can actually jump off of. And as we do, that hole in the floor earlier ends up breaking, which is awesome. We end up running here to the right and following this path which leads us out to the other side. Big hole similar to the other one. We encounter some enemies and so let's take them out. Initially looking at this fight, it looks horrible. We forgot to heal. We didn't do any healing with potions or anything like that, so we're not looking very good. But we start out with a nice sunball, doing some decent damage. We're actually able to easily take out the ant, which is good, but these guys have to attack now and they both charged up. We didn't cancel any of them. That's the triple bomb coming in, taking us super low. And yeah, it's not looking good. We've definitely got 2 people going down. Valier's critical HP right now, so yeah. We end up using the basic salad to heal up, which is pretty good, and because it was the end of the turn, Valier gets to go again, which is awesome. We use a basic attack on this guy and hopefully just defend these hits. So Valier's in critical HP again, but we've bought enough time for our allies to come back, which is amazing. Should be okay from here, but that's the biggest scare we've had so far. Looks like there's something to do with this green emerald, but we leave it alone for the meantime, and we end up going for a really nice swim in the lake, which is awesome. I like the swim mechanic. We find this chest which gives us a few items, and then we find this cozy campfire which is awesome, and we set up camp here for the meantime. Not too much goes on in the campfire. I know you can speak to your team, but we leave it for now. Just super focused on resting up and we continue on our adventure. We end up going for a little swim, but I didn't really find anything. That emerald from earlier I should have gone back and had a look at, but we get some enemies here that we have to deal with, so we'll deal with these guys quite quickly hopefully. We start the fight with one of our specials of course, and does a really good job. Takes out the ants in 1 turn, which is insane. A couple of hits from Zale and Gal should be able to finish this guy off pretty nicely. Should be good to go. You can see there's a little hole on the side there as well, where it looks like we need to jump off and break it like we did last time, but looks like we got another group of enemies we have to deal with, and this fight looks a little bit scary. One thing to remember about these enemy types is their skills are really powerful, so if we can go ahead and cancel the skills, that'd be really good. Go ahead and hit him with Zale and Valier, which actually cancels this guy's charging, which is awesome. But then this guy gets his skill off, which does a bunch of damage to our team. In this next turn, this guy's charging up with 2 fireball symbols, so we'll go ahead and use Sunball here, which takes out the middle enemy, which is awesome, and these 2 take significant damage. We end up eating that guy's skill, unfortunately, but we heal up Gal quite nicely. By this point, we charge up enough combo meter to actually get the AoE heal off, which is insane. Very good for us and crucial. Nice, that full heal is awesome, and yeah, from here the fight's pretty much done. I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning of the game, but when the skills are charging up, you need to hit them with the corresponding effect. I kind of mentioned it earlier, I think, but with Zale, he has kind of like a blade for his normal attack, and the other 2 have hammers. So if you're hitting them with the normal basic attacks with the blades and hammers, it will cancel them outside of the actual skills using the Sunball and the moon elements from Valier. So always got to pay attention to these. Like in this example, you can see they have only moon and sun elements, so if we hit them some skills, we can cancel their charging pretty easily. And we start with a Moonerang. And we end up doing some decent damage and cancel the channeling from one of their enemies. Now we just need to hit them with the Sunball, which is the fire effect. We'll cancel the channeling of the other 2 enemies, and so we go ahead and do that. At this point, you can see the enemy hasn't taken a turn yet, and we still got Gal to finish in this turn, which we'll go ahead and finish off one of the enemies with. And you see his counter resets with 3 again because he didn't get to attack in the last turn, so it's super important to cancel the channeling. Should have mentioned this earlier, but maybe you guys are smart enough anyway. And yeah, just bad commentating from me, but let's go ahead and continue on our journey. We run into 2 more ants, but this fight is pretty simple, pretty easy to deal with, so just go ahead and skip this one and get some bonus XP for free. We end up exiting onto the world map and find this place called the Windy Loch, I guess it's called. And it's actually a fishing spot. Now, fishing's a pretty cool mini game that you can play. We end up casting the reel a couple of times and a fish will bite, but I don't know how to pull it back, so we had to look at the controls quickly. And with our newfound knowledge in learning how to catch fish, we go ahead and cast our line, grab one, and we do our best to string it all the way back as quick as possible so it doesn't escape. And nice, we caught our first fish, the grass haddock. After catching the fish, we head back to the moorlands area, but we'll leave it for this episode, guys, and we'll catch up in the next one where we can explore the moorlands area again and fight these ants, I guess.